Thank you, everybody, for being here. This is the annual Parsons Field Institute Symposium. It was in earlier days called the Update, and then we kind of merged this the concepts of Symposium and Update to bring you this. Let's see. Okay, now for some reason I'm having trouble advancing the slides with us. Probably because I've got 3 screens. Okay, so welcome. For those of you who are new, I know many of us have been with the Field Institute for a while, but for those of you who are new, the Parsons Field Institute is the research arm of the McDowell-Sonoran Conservancy. So you can think of it as kind of a branch or a department. It's the science in the Conservancy mission. It began in about 2010 when we got a grant from the Pulliam Foundation to do flora and fauna studies, and grew from there. It includes the citizen science program, Conservancy staff, and many, many partners, some of whom you're going to hear from today, but there are way too many to count. So we'll do our best to highlight the ones that have been very active this year. Studies in the preserve provide, and the Sonoran Desert provide information for sustainable management, science, and education. And those are 3 things you're going to hear about quite a bit today as well. The purpose of this annual symposium is to keep people updated and connected. So, you know, we do a lot during the year, and it's really good at the end of the year to turn around and be able to say, wow, look at what we did. To highlight our partners and some of our, successes and accomplishments, and then to communicate the road ahead. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Please mute yourself during the presentations, and that includes the presenter. That just ensures that we don't have background noise. Each presentation will be followed by questions. So we prefer people to use the chat button for the questions. And below, at the bottom of the screen, you can see we've got a red box around that chat button. So that's how you can open that up and put your questions or comments in the chat. Right over here in the other red square is the mute button. Stick around for a prize after the break. We will have a short break in the middle, and a fun prize for the people who stick around. We'll put your name in a raffle. And just to let you know, all of the presentations are going to be recorded and made available via YouTube link afterwards. So we'll have these on our YouTube channel. We'll be sending them out in subsequent communications. And we're also going to be breaking them apart into smaller sections and labeling them. So for the teachers on here or other partners who want to use these for classes or demonstrations, you'll be able to easily find the section that you're interested in and forward that. So that's been a big help. As we go through the presentations for our presenters, you will hear a chime. They are timed, and I know that you all have those times, but we all need a little reminder every once in a while. So when you hear the chime, that means that we're getting close to the question section of your presentation. So today, this is our agenda. We are doing things a little bit differently than we have in years past. Many of our updates have been sort of an update on each and every project. And this past year, we wanted to do things a little bit differently. We had a lot of questions about how our projects fit together, kind of what the overall goals are of all of our projects, how they help reach management goals, and kind of what the overall purpose of the way that we do our work is. And so we really wanted to kind of use the opportunity to organize our thinking around those questions and communicate that. So what you're not going to see is an update on each and every project. All of our projects are vitally important to what we do. but we've picked out the ones that have, some particular results this year, or highlight, these questions in a particular way, and we're going to highlight them this year. Other projects will be highlighted in subsequent years. So the way that we've organized this is into 3 parts. Part 1 is the Science and Adaptive Management Framework, and that's how we are going to be communicating how all of our projects hang together and work together to help for science and management of the preserve and beyond. After that, we're going to have a 15-minute break. Stick around for the door prize. And then in the second part, we have some partners who have agreed to join us and talk about the value of scientific collaboration. As many of you know, we work inside the preserve, but our results are all applicable to areas outside the preserve, and we do a lot of work outside the preserve as well. Scientific work is, it needs to be shared and with as many people as possible. And so our partnerships make that possible, and you'll be hearing from them. And then in part 3, we have the next generation of conservationalists that you're going to be hearing about our science and education. And you're going to be hearing from our first group of high school students who are the pioneers for our Living Lab program, and they're going to share with you their journey developing the Living Labs at Saguaro High School. And then after that, we'll have a brief looking forward into the year ahead. So another thing for you who are new to the Conservancy and the Field Institute, we have a particular way that we do science at the Conservancy. It's applied science. A lot of it's management driven, but long-term monitoring is a big part of that too. And just to take you on a very brief journey, this started with flora and fauna surveys back in 2010, and the big question that drove those were, how do we manage the preserve if we don't know what's there? And those flora and fauna surveys gave us the first lists of plants and animals on the preserve so that we could figure out what we needed to do. And from that, we worked with the Science Advisory Committee and other partners to figure out how do we monitor this to figure out if it's changing? And that's where many of our long-term monitoring projects started. You want to know what you have, and then you want to know what it's doing. And then addressing the question of how do we use this to make decisions, we developed the Ecological Resource Plan, which you'll be hearing about a little bit more. Other plans like the Invasive Species Management Plan, we reached out and developed more partnerships that would help us understand how to make decisions with or how to make recommendations with the information that we had. And you're going to be hearing about adaptive management and experiments and how that is part of this as well. The Conservancy model for doing science through citizen science is a very unique one. Our volunteer programs at the McDowell-Sonoran Conservancy are very unique in that they are self-run. Volunteers lead the projects, they recruit, and they develop succession plans. So those are self-perpetuating. When a volunteer picks another thing to work on, we're not left with a hole. So this is something that keeps going. And many of our steward volunteers stay for a really long time, which makes this possible. We also work with experts both inside and outside of the Conservancy in terms of hiring staff with expertise and then working with partners. And our stewards do much, much more than just field work or data entry. They are involved in every aspect of our scientific programs. You probably heard a lot about this in, if you've joined Citizen Science 101, et cetera. But, for those of you who are new to the Conservancy, this is something that is very unique, and we're very proud of it. The preserve is also a very unique space within a unique space. The McDowell-Sonoran Preserve takes up over 25% of the landmass of the city of Scottsdale. And as you can see in the map on the right, is connected to a lot of open spaces, including the Tonto National Forest, McDowell Regional Park, the Fountain Hills Preserve, but also several reservations that are very important open spaces as well, and connected to a much larger network. In fact, it's a very important piece of connection in that larger puzzle. So to briefly go over some of our goals that we had for this year and our accomplishments within those goals, you probably saw these at the end of the symposium last year. These were some of the things that we were looking forward to doing: streamlining projects through strategic review, communicate our work to scientific partners and the broader public, find areas of intersection between science and education, increase the number and opportunities for citizen science, and increase opportunities for non-stewards, and then link with other citizen science groups. So just very briefly, some of the things that we've done along the way. To streamline our projects through strategic review, we actually use that as the basis for our science and adaptive management framework that we're going to talk about today. We completed the first review of each of our 11 projects, and this was an in-depth review involving citizen scientists, staff, and partners. We developed a framework for communicating how those fit together, and we began work on our management goals to develop management goals for each of our projects. We also outlined the possibilities for education within those. More to come on that. To communicate our work, we published several papers, and you'll notice some citizen science names in those papers. That's another thing that we're very proud of. Again, our volunteers are involved in every aspect of our work. A couple other highlights are staff member Mary joined the board of Southwest Vegetation Management Association, so that's exciting. We continued our work with the Central Arizona Conservation Alliance, and we presented at the Biennial Conference of Science and Management. We also presented at the Southwest Vegetation Management Association conference too. That seems to have dropped off the screen. We've just done too much this year. We also wanted to communicate our work to the broader public and link to other citizen science groups. And some of the many things that we did along those lines were we developed science-based hikes and walks. These are free, open to the public. Some of them focused on our wildlife camera project, biodiversity, iNaturalist birds and butterflies. We developed presentations for the general public and joined the Citizen Science Association, which is an international group. We developed, our citizen scientists developed some posters for the Citizen Science Conference. I'm going to flash these in front of you really quick. You won't be able to read them all, but they will be up during the breaks if you want to take a longer look at them, and you'll be seeing them again. So these are just some of the really beautiful posters that are going to be presented at the Citizen Science Association Conference next week. And with NAU, we're continuing our work on the IUCN plant assessment. And here's some early results from that. That's very exciting. Again, we'll be up during our break. We developed a conceptual model for blending science and education through our spiraling curriculum. You're going to see this later in the second half. Claire Musser is going to present it, and this really demonstrates how our research fits into our educational offerings and how we build upon, what the students learn year over year. And of course, our goals for our citizen science program were to increase the number and opportunities for citizen scientists. We did this by creating more support roles and filling those assistant lead roles. We evaluated each project for opportunities for new citizen scientists. And we maintained a number of weekend projects, took opportunities to include students, and developed an internship pipeline through SCC to involve more non-stewards. And with that, those are just a few of the highlights, the top level highlights for the Parsons Field Institute. Again, welcome.